Alright, A.R.S.S 1.0 failed. The silicone seams busted on the aquarium, most likely when I put in the city water, which is 90 psi, and then a new motor at the same time turned on. So it basically broke the silicone at the edge of the glass on several places, not the actual aquarium glass, but where I silicone the screen mesh to. So go back to the other videos if you want to know what that was. The first video should be able to show you kind of what that was looking like. So what we have going on here is we're making acrylic boxes this time around. The stainless steel mesh is going to be epoxy to the top and kind of force through and maybe bead on top. This is kind of my going plan to secure it. Basically there will be two boxes and no outlet is going to be going through them. So right about here we're going to have some CPVC 90s and it'll be a threaded out. And we're just going to tee off of what's in the aquarium now into those, and then the outlets will be floating, as in I can pull them out, redesign them, build them however I want when I see the need to. So it'll allow me to be a lot more modular, how it should have been done in the first place. And this is likely how it should have been done in the first place as well. So the current plan is, as we can see here, so these holes are going to be on the bottom. These are going to basically let water go in between the four chambers. I have the clamp over the other end, but there is a 1/2 inch hole, which or a 5/8 inch hole, which is specifically going to fit a PVC pipe through. And then I'm going to have basically it's going to be inlet, and then it's going to shoot out, go through here, out, through here, out. And then last one will be 90, and they'll be positioned towards the back wall of the area, and that's going to create kind of a counter current or a spinning current under here. So the ultimate goal behind that is when I need to back flush this to get debris out, because the filter's not going to get everything, so detritus will get down here, I can basically backwards connect it and it will suck the aquarium water out during the water change, and also along with it all the debris, which if it works by design will be sitting somewhere in the corner here and eventually get sucked out. So it's going to be addressing a whole lot of issues that I created by rushing the project. This project's going to be semi-rushed in the finishing of it, because I got to pull the fish out, all the plants, clean up the tank. The fish will be in buckets, plants will be in buckets. My goal is in 3 days to get it all done. So one video is going to be the design and creation process, and then from then on we'll be continuing the updating and the tracking of how well it works in the series. And as the steps go along, I will reveal to you how we're going to secure things and do things. As of right now, we can see lots of videos on how to glue acrylic. I am not an expert by any measure. So I took some advice from a PVC plastics, plastics company, I should say, that told me how to kind of do this. So I'm using just acrylic cement over there and putting it to the edges. And the stuff does take a little longer to set than I thought. So with that said, we're gonna do this the right way this time around, and this video series will be dubbed A.R.S.S 2.0, and all of the other equipment will still be in place. And one final update to the first part of this video, I'm probably going to tee off from the outlet and use it as basically a wave maker of sorts. And I'm going to put that, so in the drawing here, actually we'll go here, there's going to be an outlet here and an outlet here, no, inlet, sorry, inlet and inlet. And I'm going to kind of tee it off and maybe point a nozzle this way and maybe point one kind of this way to create some counter current, and hopefully guide all the detritus to get near the outlets. There will be 4 of them on the floating design, and I'm probably going to put them more towards the back because it seemed like the detritus wanted to go that way. It was settling against the shelved wall I put into the tank, so that's coming out, so it'll now go all the way to the back, which will be a little more pleasing. So I will do some several part series updates, and I'm going to glue this all up. This will take me some time. See you in a bit. Alright, they have been completed. They took approximately 2 hours, I believe. I had to be careful with this one right here, because this I already had the frame assembled, and so I couldn't use my clamp right there. And this was a cinch to do because I was doing it one wall at a time, and I just followed it down, and I was able to use the clamps the whole way. So if you do this and you're doing multiple panels like I am, Make sure you don't assemble the frame first, just do it as you proceed down it. It's a lot easier. I actually had one or two of these detached because I came back with some more of the solution, what's it called here? The solvent that you use to bond acrylic. And so I just basically would drizzle it over the edge once the bonding was done on the main seam to make sure it bonded. That's what I was doing. And apparently without the pressure from the clamps, these weren't super attached, but they are secure. I am able to kind of pull on them without any issues. They aren't going to be supporting any kind of lateral weight, so they'll be good. Coming to here, this is the next step, or the idea I came up with to basically bond the stainless steel to this. So what I did is I got 2 nylon washers. I've got 2 O-rings, and what's going to happen is this is going to go on top of the stainless steel mesh. This is going to go in the bottom, and hopefully down, I do believe, actually I'm probably going to have to reverse that. So it's probably going to have to go like this. And the slip adapter, actually we're not doing a slip, we're doing a conversion to a 90. So once all of these are together, this is going to be press fit together. It's going to be glued on. So once the mesh goes on, it's going to be glued into place, and then the nylon nuts are going to be twisted on, and between the 2 O-rings, my theory is I should be able to hang on to the mesh and secure itself, because it is kind of floating somewhat. So that's basically where we're at. We are not going to be doing the mesh next. However, I will be doing the holes in the side, and what we're going to use is this guy right here. And at the very end of this is, if I can read that, it's less than a quarter. I think it's 3/16 is what it says. So I'm going to go to the very tip about halfway to make sure it's a good solid hole, and however far in that goes, it looks like it's going to come out to, where's the camera? I don't know if we can read that. We sort of can. 3/8 inch hole roughly, and I'm going to do these about every inch or so. And theory is it's going to be kind of a cone size hole, and it should kind of cause some water turbulation on the outside. My math is correct. I will have leftover stainless steel mesh, and I will be epoxying it to the inside, not the outside, and I won't have to worry about it like blowing off or anything, because that'll be relatively simple to do on that one. I think that's all we kind of got. So this is basically the outlet design. This is all just outlets. I'm not terribly concerned about how much water is going to come out of which hole. That's the whole point of these guys. So as pressure is met in one spot or another, the water will fill in. My theory is I'm going to be able to run my whole system at 60% of 15,000 liters per hour without causing any issues to the sand. I have cranked the pump up as it is now, and it hasn't moved the sand hardly at all. Right now it is about 50-60%, but that's with 2 holes in the silicone seal. So on to the next step. I will check back in. All right, a little quick update. I'm getting ready to drill the holes to what we specified earlier. So basically I'm doing kind of about an inch in between. I don't think this is going to be too many holes, especially considering they start narrow and then they go out, and I can always just turn the pump up a little bit. As the edges will kind of just, there'll be enough sand there, there should be enough to hold it down, I hope. If not, I'm sure I can just kind of cram something down in there and block the holes off, and they won't be useful anymore if I do that. So I'm going to get prepped to drilling. There's going to be something like 30 holes on the sides and 9 or 12 total on the ends, and that's going to be kind of where we're at. I'll be back in a bit. So I did the first hole. We're just going to kind of take a quick look here. So kind of looks large. Let's see what we got. Alright, so we went to a 1/4 inch there, and the hole back here. Looks to be about 3/16. So visually, this to me kind of seems a little on the large side. I think I'm still going to do the cones. I'm going to drill the cones, but I think I'm going to take a normal drill bit and go in there at 1/8. I don't think I'm going to do it at the 3/16 size. It seems a little large to me. So that's going to be the update. We're just going to kind of do a two-parter because I mean it might affect the actual overall flow on the top side. I also wandered off my grid too quite a bit. Let me show on it. Alrighty. Okay, regarding the holes in the side, I'm just going to show you guys the one that I finished. This took somewhere around 30-40 minutes. There's a lot of drilling. There's a couple things that I have learned because I was told by the acrylic guy that you cannot, or should not I should say, take this guy and run him at high speed because it has to slowly cut. I basically did that with 4 holes. I figured it was too slow, so I decided to chance it, and lo and behold, come to find out, it works very, very well at high speed. And what I did is basically I just used the light on my drill motor, and I just kind of stopped right about here, give or take. And then from there I went in with a 1/8 inch bit. And that was super easy, it wasn't too hard. In the process of the drilling, I'm not sure I mentioned this, it occurred to me that I'm not going to drill anything on the corner here. So I actually did do the full stepper bit into this down to the 3/8 on the corners. So all the corners have the 3/8 parts on them right here. Otherwise the rest are 1/8 holes. And one thing I could definitely say about acrylic projects is they look super sharp. Like this thing looks really, really amazing. It's too bad that it's going to be buried with a whole bunch of sand where you can't see it. Maybe I'll put a light under my tank and take a glance at it every now and then, but I pressed on this while I was drilling sometimes, flexed it, nothing cracked, nothing broke. I didn't detect any abnormal heat in the drilling process using the stepper bit. So I suppose if you were to drill, sump holes for sump piping, you probably could do it with a stepper bit if you had one that was big enough. I don't see why it wouldn't work, but I do believe the hole saw would more likely be a little more accurate. Or what I used to do these with a drill motor was a Feuchtner bit, and that's what I was told to use to drill acrylic. And I could use a stepper, but I used a drill press a buddy of mine had, and I went over there and we drilled these up. And the Feuchtner bit did really well. There were some exceptions that we didn't clamp right next to where the holes were at, so some of the plastic built up and it basically popped out a little bit. So we have, every now and then there's a couple of these that will have a hole blown out the back just partially. Otherwise, regarding step 2 of this, part of the glare, this actually looks really, really, really good. For a first time ever working with acrylic, I'm actually quite proud of how well I'm doing. I did, on the safe side, like I mentioned before, used extra cement on these, and so I actually got a little bit of this, you know, extra cement effect where I got to kind of sand this down. So I'm going to sand it down smooth, and then I'm going to rough it back up, if that makes any sense. But I need to do that to epoxy the stainless steel mesh to this, and I do have the edge guard, which is a polycarbonate, I believe it is, edge guard that'll go all the way around. And I'm going to use a hole punch tool like that to punch holes into the mesh. In between time, it's going to be about a week or two before I get to this part. It's going to be a lot of work. So with work right now, I have a lot of craziness going on. So before I do an insane project like this, I want to make sure I have some dedicated nights. I'm not coming home at 10 o'clock at night doing work. So we're gonna get the quarantine trash can put together with the 306, some media that's already seasoned from the aquarium that I'm going to do a water change tomorrow on. So I'm going to set this up probably I'm not gonna put it in the house, but I'm gonna probably put it out here for now. And that is the trash can. It's 35 gallons, and it will be getting half water changes most likely daily. And my goal is 3 days to get this all put together.